Hola amigos y amigas, bienvenidos nuevamente a este espacio. Hoy estamos acompañados por una nueva luchadora que accedió al llamado y se trata de Jessy Jackson, luchadora británica. Welcome Jessy o hola Jessy.
Hola amigo, muchas gracias.
It's nice to have you Jessy. It's a pleasure. We've seen you competing in Japan the last months during the summer.
Sí, sí, sí.
And we wanted to do some questions about you as a wrestler and as a person. Are you ready?
Sí, estoy lista.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Let's go and start with the beginning. So, when and
okay.
why did you decide to become a professional wrestler?
So ever since I was little, I was obsessed with wrestling. At my school, it was just I was the girl, and my best friend too. We were just obsessed. We were the girls obsessed with wrestling. Like everything about our lives was centered around wrestling. We just loved it. And we used to do all kind of things to to be able to watch it, to be able to pay
Mhm.
for the pay-per-views. We used to go around the street washing cars, asking for like a pound here or a pound there, so I could take it to my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, we've earned this money. Can you pay for the pay-per-view?" Whatever. We just we it was our lives as kids, and so as I got a little bit older, um, my friends kind of grew out of it. My best friend, she kind of grew out of it too, but I never did, and it always kind of lingered in the back of my mind. And then after that, sorry if you can hear Mio's dogs are around. I'm in the kitchen and they're around, and I think they're playing. But so yeah, I just always had this in the back of my mind, and I took my studies very seriously. I took school very seriously, sixth form and university, and I wanted to achieve good grades, and then just kind of assumed that I would just go on to this normal path for my life because that's what everybody had always told me, and that's kind of what had been channeled into me. But when I was at university, I was like, surely there has to be another way because I'm not satisfied with anything that I want. And I still got this cloud lingering over me of, I want to be a professional wrestler. And loads of people kind of just thought I was a bit stupid. And, my mom would just be like, well, that's silly. How are you going to do that? And I really wasn't sure. I wasn't really aware that there was an independent scene, that there was all of this other wrestling around the world. All that I knew was from what I saw on TV, which was WWE. So when I started doing my own kind of research, I was like, oh, there's a training school so close to me. Why don't I just go? And like the second I went and did my first training session, I got so emotional because I was like, here's the way in. Here's what I've been wanting to do. Here's the opportunity. And all of a sudden, this kind of cloud of feeling like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, it went. And I was like, that's where it is. That's what I need to do. So as soon as I did that, it was like, yeah, this is what I want. This is it now. So that's how I got into it.
Okay, thank you very much. And the thing is that you actually didn't compete much in the UK, right?
No, no, not at all. So I went, the training school that I started at, they would have training shows, and I would do it. By the time I was working shows, I'd actually moved away, a couple hours away from the area. So I would be on a show maybe like twice a month, and I would travel, work their show, work it for free because it was my school, and then come home. And so I worked there. I had shows there for a little while, and then I started venturing out just a little bit. But so when I moved back from uni, as I made my debut, I started at Fight Club Pro training.
Mhm.
But it was literally like not long into me training at Fight Club Pro that COVID happened and shut everything down. So I'd really not had that much experience wrestling anyway. And then by the time things started opening back up, I started working outside shows. And like a month or two after that, I moved to Mexico. So I class myself more of a luchadora than anything else. I'm not a British wrestler, because I've barely wrestled on the British scene.
Oh, well, that's actually cool. When a foreign goes to another country and
Yeah.
starts the way they do wrestling, in this case, in Mexico, lucha libre.
Mhm.
You became a luchadora, like you just mentioned. So why did you move to Mexico?
Well, so I'm with Travis Banks, if you know
Mhm.
who he is, and obviously he had some issues. So we had to really discuss our future and like, okay, what do we want to do? And he got in touch with some people and he said Mexico is an option for him and that, in order for him to carry on his career, that's where he needs to go. And then he gave me the choice, because I had a good job at the time and it was like, do you want to stay here in the UK or do you want to come to Mexico with me? And it was very much okay, either I stay here and I stay in this job and I'm not really happy in this job and I'm not living for myself, or I come with you to Mexico and really give this a go for myself. So it was a no-brainer for me. I had this feeling of like, Mexico, that's where I need to go. This is where my career is going to start. So I just knew, I didn't even question it. I was like, I'm coming with you. I'm 100% coming with you because I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my career as well. So we went to Mexico and it's tough and it's a really difficult journey and it's not an easy scene to wrestle in. But the second I got there, I started training with like the likes of like Ricky Marvin, and Ricky Marvin, just the most incredible professional wrestler, has worked his whole life in Japan. And I'm receiving that tutelage within my first day of being in Mexico. So the stuff that I'm so grateful to Mexico for. And that's why I'm glad I made the step to be like, right, I'm coming with you, I'm going.
Okay, yeah, it was a risky bet, but going
Yeah,
forward to 2024, it was worth it,
yeah,
You had so much fun, you learned a lot.
yeah, 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 1,000%. Just not even so much as like, obviously there's the wrestling skill, there's the wrestling ability, but Mexico has been such a journey for me in terms of my personal growth and mentally. I've had to go through a lot of shit and a lot of trials and things that bad matches, disappointments, feeling really down with myself, feeling insecure, having low confidence, low self-esteem, just the most horrendous travel some days for some shows, being disrespected by promoters, being treated like you're nothing. Like it's a very political scene and it's very tough to navigate, and a lot of stuff I've put back on myself. And I had to go through this incredible journey of growth so that by the time I arrived in Japan, like nothing phases me so much anymore. I've been through some of the dirt worst stuff that like now everything I just have gratitude for. And even the dirt worst stuff, I can say I am proud of myself. I can get myself around Mexico where I half speak the language. And I'm traveling by myself for 12 hours on a bus to like the most random part of Mexico to wrestle on a show that I don't know anybody else there, and it's like, it's developed me so much that, I walk around Japan and it's like, I'm so grateful to be here. Like, I don't care about anything that could potentially be construed as a negative because I've earned it. I've gone through all of like this crazy, chaotic stuff that I am allowing myself to enjoy this now. I'm allowing myself to enjoy every single moment here.
Yes, actually, it's really true what you just mentioned. In Mexico, lucha libre or pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it, it's something cultural. It's a cultural matter, and there are all like in any business and like in anywhere there are like every kind of people. There are like good wrestlers, bad wrestlers, but no, I don't mean like technical. I mean like the person behind the character. Also, there are good promoters and bad promoters, and that's something that many wrestlers that have experienced Mexico for at least
Sí.
3 months can
Mm-hmm.
can tell that neither you or I are lying about it. It's true. It's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can relate. It definitely, everybody has that experience if you go to Mexico. It's so common.
Yeah, and also now that you are more accustomed to that, and now you're
Mhm.
in Japan, like literally we're speaking while you're in Japan. So
Yes.
that's so also something cool. It's another adventure that you had the
Yes.
chance to experience. So
Yes.
how did it happen going to Japan?
It was really a case of I was just looking for the next step up in my career.
Mhm.
I was just ready for something more. And the thing that I thought about doing was just emailing any like places to obviously try and work. And the one thing that I wanted to do was reach out to a company in Japan to see if I could come here and train and work. Like was a huge goal for me. And Travis would always say, Japan is a place. It takes you to the next step in terms of your skill and your ability. You want to become this wrestler. That's where you need to go and learn it. So it was always in my mind. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Japan. And I just sent an email. I found an email for Marvelous. I sent an email and I got an email back, and I was like, okay, awesome. And we were communicating for a few months, and then I didn't hear for a while. I didn't hear for like probably about 9 months. I didn't hear, and I was like,
wow.
yeah. And I was like, well, okay, I guess this isn't going to happen anytime soon. But I was sending emails in every so often, just as like, hey, just to let you know I'm here, and I really want to come if it's still an option. And then it was in January, I got an email back saying, Chigusa Nagayo said yes, Nagayo-san said yes, you can come, we're going to sort out your visa and everything, sent me through the contract, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is happening now. And I never got too excited because I was like, just in case like something happens and I can't go or whatever. But it was like, that was the definite yes. So it was literally just me trying to email and just say like, hey, I'm here, don't forget about me. Please, I really want to come. I really want to train with you guys. I really want to work with you guys. It would be an honor for me. Please don't forget about me. It finally kind of paid off, and I'm here now, and it's honestly the happiest I've been in wrestling. Really and truly.
That's awesome. Yeah, being in Spain right now, we have a really good relationship with Marvelous Pro. It's a
Yeah.
promotion that we respect and really
Yeah.
enjoy a lot. Also, the people
Yeah.
behind the promotion. You've known
Yeah,
them
of course.
for the last 3 months. You've been living
Yeah.
in Japan. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask now about the experience of living in Japan and, living with the people from Marvelous, competing in those shows. How has been the experience?
Oh, it's been incredible. I mean, the whole experience for me has been incredible. When I say it's the happiest I've been in wrestling, I genuinely mean that. The girls I have so much respect for, their work ethic, how they train, how they push themselves, how this is their whole life. It's really incredible to see and to be a part of. The way that they push their bodies is, I just have so much respect for. I love to see it. I love to be around it. I love to absorb that kind of that atmosphere of encouragement, as well as helping each other, of supporting each other. Like when they say this is a family here at Marvelous, they genuinely mean it. All the girls support each other. All the girls are trying to help each other. All the girls are trying to push each other. And it's really such a nice thing to be part of. And then in terms of just like living in Japan, Japan is a place that when you go from living, say, in a place like Mexico, where I do love Mexico, and I don't mean to constantly bash on it, because I'm so grateful to Mexico for my whole career. But in Mexico, I can't walk down the street without facing a lot of stuff, constant. But in Japan, I can walk down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning. I walk back from the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's peace. And it's so just freeing. So like all of it together, for me, it's just accumulated into the most beautiful experience. And then like when you're around Nagayo-san and she's constantly talking about, humility, and that we wouldn't be able to be doing this without our teachers, without fans, and she's always constantly giving respect to others. It's like, this is a lady who has done so much in this business, and she can just teach so much to so many people in just how she conducts herself. It's just, and the way everybody respects each other. It's just such a beautiful thing to see. I personally, I really appreciate it, and I love so much being a part of it.
That's really cool. Yeah, in Japan, it's also another of the big places to learn, to practice wrestling. But like you mentioned, it's a different culture in Asia, especially in Japan. They are very respectful. They tend to have like really good and strict manners, and there's also like disrespect to your seniors. So you know that they have experience more than you, they have more knowledge than you. So it's a blessing to have them with you, to learn from them. So that's really cool. And you've been competing in a lot of shows of Marvelous. So how has been the experience? Especially, there's this one that I also discussed this with Miriam before, like Sarah Leon. It was the Magenta produced show, which was something really different to what usually Marvelous does. So how was that experience?
Oh, well, firstly, just in terms of working the shows with the girls here, it's incredible. Again, like the professionalism and the teamwork that goes into the shows, and then the competitiveness of them. It's a really cool environment. But then that Magenta produced show, that was so much fun. I enjoyed that so much, more than I expected to enjoy it. Like wearing Rika's costume, being with Inagi, just doing that match, doing Maria and Rico's moves. Like, I had the time of my life in that match. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed every single moment. And I was thinking, you know, how can I enjoy being somebody else so much? But I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a really crazy experience, but yeah, I loved it so much.
Okay, now also Marvelous has been involved in another, promotional activities, because this week we have the premiere of The Queen of the Villains, which is a Netflix show based in the life of Dan Matsumoto, but she's also involved with Crash Gals, so that means Chigusa Nagayo and Lioness Asuka. So we saw that Netflix had a special promotional show in Korakuen Hall, and all the Team Marvelous were helping, making the show. So how was that experience?
Oh, that was insane, because we were seconding for the match, so we were around the ring, and even when they just did their entrances, both the heel team and then the Marvelous team, and they were appearing in the crowd, it was the most amazing thing. The way it was all produced.
Yes.
And obviously the heel team came out and it was all dark and they're all wearing black, and it to me, it was so iconic. It seemed like something so iconic. And then when the Marvelous team came out, and it's like, oh, these girls are my friends. I love these girls. We all support each other. I have so much respect for them. So when I saw them having that attention, having that moment, Maria's music was playing and they all had a spotlight on them. It was so, I almost got a little emotional. I was like trying to fight back tears, because I was like, oh, there's my friends up there and they're killing it, And then obviously just being a part of that match, and I know it was a really big and important opportunity for them because it was being streamed all around the world. And I think they all did such an incredible job, such a fantastic job. And I hope more, there are more eyes on these girls, because they are special. They're super talented and they're so incredibly hardworking. So it's just, I was really glad that they got that opportunity. And I was just rooting for them the whole time. So it felt really incredible. Really incredible to be a part of, even just in a small way, just to be there, just to be seeing it with my own eyes. I was like, okay, wow, this is pretty sick.
Hopefully this show will highlight and make people, be more interested in Marvelous. Hopefully also like with WWE going to Netflix in America and many other countries worldwide. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, Netflix Japan might invest in Marvelous. Will be awesome.
Yeah, that would be incredible. And I'm hoping for anything like that to come their way.
Great. Now also in Japan, you had the chance to compete in another big promotion, which is Sendai Girls, run by Meiko Satomura. So how was that? How did that happen, and how was the experience?
So I spoke to Chigusa about if there's any possibility that I could represent Marvelous at any of the shows, and she said yes, and that she would talk to Meiko for me. And then they gave me 2 dates in August, which was insane. But the biggest thing for me about that, one of the biggest things about that for me was, so in 2019, when I was still pretty new, I'd only had a few matches and I just started training with Fight Club. There was a Fight Club show called Return of Sendai, and Team 200 kg were there with me, with Meiko, and who else was there? I think maybe Dash was there as well. And they were training with Fight Club, but I was too new at that time to be included in the main training. So I was watching them all train, and then I watched the Return of the Sendai show. And I met Meiko for the first time there as well. And I remember just watching that show, just thinking, oh, I would just one day just love to be able to wrestle these girls. I'd love to be able to be a part of it. And it seemed so far away at the time. So flash forward 5 years, and I'm not only wrestling these girls, but I'm wrestling them in Japan for Sendai, for Meiko. And then after the match, I speak to Meiko and I'm like, please, if there's any advice. And she's like, everything was perfect. Like, thank you so much. Please come back again. It was such a full circle moment of, oh, I'm doing this. And it's all these little wins in wrestling that just kind of reaffirm that, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path, you're going in the right direction. And it just meant so much to me, because I specifically remember that moment, watching that show, going, I just want to be able to wrestle them someday, and never believing that I would do it. And then, I'm at that point in my career now where it's like, oh, I have, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it. So it felt very significant for me. And I'm, again, super grateful for it.
I'm glad you had the chance to experience that. Like you mentioned, it was a full circle moment. And those kind of moments, like the whole Japan experience, makes it proof. But all your efforts were worth it, in the end.
Yeah, I think so. Especially because there has been some tough moments. So it's like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path.
This is something that many wrestlers, especially from Mexico, have told me, that is, enjoy the process, disfruta el proceso.
Sí, exactamente.
So there will be tough moments, but if you don't, it's normal to have pain, to have difficult moments in your life, because life is not linear. There will be ups and downs. So just enjoy every moment, even the hard ones.
Sí, mis problemas en México, en el momento fue muy difícil, pero tengo mucha gratitud para estos momentos, porque mi corazón ahora es más fuerte, mucho más fuerte.
Genial. Now, you have experience in Mexico, you have experience in Japan. Is there any other country or promotion that you would like to work for?
I mean, I definitely want to just get around the world as much as possible. Todo el mundo. Estados Unidos, por ejemplo, ahora mismo tengo una visa para Estados Unidos, Sí, entonces quiero trabajar mucho más ahí.
Mhm.
Yo sé que hay diferentes lugares como el, el West Coast, East Coast, you know, Texas. Um, antes, antes de Japón, yo, yo trabajé en Texas un poco, pero sí, yo quiero trabajar más en Estados Unidos.
Okay. For example, another business partner of Marvelous
Hmm.
is West Coast Pro,
Yeah,
so that might
yeah,
be a possibility. And you have
yeah,
some of the guys over there right now.
yeah, exactly. West Coast would be great. Obviously, like RCW would be great as well. Like, I would love to be able to utilize the connections of Marvelous, and I think, like I said, Marvelous is a big family. So to be able to just, go to these different promotions as a member of Marvelous would be really cool.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, like we are discussing some of the relationships or good connections that Marvelous has, it also speaks well
Yeah,
both of Marvelous and the other promotions because you know the
yeah,
quality of people that works at Marvelous,
yeah,
and if you and you
exactly.
know that if they have business with other promotions, they have to be held by good people.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, I think having obviously that good relationship with Nagayo Sam is like a big tick of like trust. You know,
Yes,
it's that kind of trademark trust right there.
yes, like Chibus approves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. Chigusa fruit. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you get the chance to compete more in the US and maybe in
Yeah.
Spain. I don't know. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, around Europe as well. I mean, obviously, I would love to be able to wrestle more in the UK too, is my home country. So,
Hmm.
but I really just, I, I'm not like super specific in a sense of I need to wrestle here or there. Japan was a really specific goal for me because I know here is where I can get better. But in terms of where I need to go in order to increase my name value, I want that to be anywhere, whether that be Europe, the UK, America, wherever it might lead me. I feel like I still haven't finished my journey in Mexico either. So I do want to go back to Mexico, obviously, and carry on some work there too. I just want to get to wherever I can. I don't have like a specific goal in mind. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into I have to work here.
Hmm.
It's wherever the wind takes me, wherever God's meant to lead me, that's where I'll go.
Now I want to talk about you, but not the character. You as a person.
Okay. Oh,
So
pressure.
I wanted to ask you about your hobbies.
Oh, okay. Trying to think. I'm not really super interesting like that. The gym is my life, so my main hobby, but I guess it's kind of I very much see it as part of my job anyway, to go
Mhm.
train every day. So gym and fitness and nutrition and getting myself in better condition, hypertrophy, just the whole athletic package is what what I spend most of my day on. Even when I'm lying in bed in the morning, or I'm eating my breakfast or eating my dinner, I am watching reels about fitness and about science, and it's kind of a little bit sad, but I take it very seriously. So
Okay.
I'm watching all of these reels and like trying to learn new things, expand my mindset, all of this stuff. And then also part of like, okay, being in the gym, and especially whilst I've been here as well, I've been walking to and from. It's like a good like 15-minute walk there, 15-minute walk back. I'll be listening to podcasts, so I'll be listening to so my degree is in human physiology, and I very much just enjoy learning about the human body. So I'll listen to a podcast. I'll listen to loads of different podcasts. I listen to one about faith, about devotional. So I'll listen to that a lot. I listen to some comedy podcasts. And then I listen to the Human Lab podcast as well, which is the main one that I listen to. And anything that's kind of related to fitness or athletic performance, female health, mental health, growth mindset, anything like that that can either help me achieve my goals physically or mentally, or just learn about myself, or learn about the body, I enjoy. So I very much my mind's very much in that at the moment. And then I've not really been found that I've been able to switch off too much here, but I love like movies.
Mhm.
I love just sitting down and watching a movie as well. So when I'm at home with Trav, like going to the cinema is one of our favorite things to do. And we make like a big day of it. We'll go get some food first, and then we'll go maybe get a Starbucks, and then we'll go watch a movie, and then walk home, maybe get some food on the way home or something like that. But yeah, and then I'm trying to think what other hobbies I have. I used to do BJJ, which I really, really want to get back into because I loved that as a hobby. And I did that during a down period of wrestling as well. So it kind of replaced wrestling a little bit for me. Oh, and in trainings here, we've been doing a lot of sparring, and it's just unlocked something in me like, I miss this so much. So I really want to get back into doing that as well. And then I'm trying to kind of think about what other hobbies that I have. I think those are kind of my main ones, really. It's kind of sad that my whole life is gym. Like, even when I'm not in the gym.
Yeah. So that makes me wonder, how does a regular day in your life looks like?
Well, whilst I've been here, it's been very much like we get up. I'm not an early bird, so I get up as late as I possibly can before training. So I get up around kind of 9 o'clock. We'll start training around 10:30. We'll train for about 2 or 3 hours. Then after that, I'll probably have a little bit of downtime. I'll have an afternoon nap. I love napping, is one of my other hobbies. I love having a little siesta in the afternoon. So I'll have an afternoon nap or something like that, just chill out for a little bit. It's been so hot here, so I'll let the sun go down. It gets to about kind of 6 o'clock at night. The sun's set, I can walk to the gym and not be in this blazing sun. Work out for an hour or two, and then walk home. So that's another like 3 or 4 hours out of my day. And then by the time I get home, I'll eat. The girls here, they cook dinner every night, the young girls. And they make the most incredible Japanese food. It's great. It's like I'm eating out every night. So they will make food for us, and they'll normally kind of just leave it. So I'll just microwave it when I get back, and then just sit in the kitchen by myself and eat that. And then it's just winding down before I go to bed. But then kind of my routine in Mexico, that would vary day to day depending on who I was training with. So Trav and I would get up, and training is always the first thing that we do. We go to the gym. We was doing really hard workouts before I came here, so I was in the gym for like 2 or 3 hours. And then say on Wednesdays, I would go train at Arena Mexico. On Thursdays, he would have his own trainings. Sometimes on a Monday or Tuesday, depending on how much wrestling I had on the weekend before, I would train with Ricky Marvin. Before I came here, I was trying to cram as much training in as possible, like gym training and wrestling training, just to like really try and get myself ready to be here. But then after that, after training's done, it's just chill out. And when I'm with Trav, I find I can chill out a lot easier. So we'll just put like a film on, or we'll put a Netflix series on, or something like that. And then that's kind of that's like our chill time together, which is nice.
Okay, now to end this part of Japan, you've been there for 3 months now, and you all live together. But who are like your usual roommates, or the people you hang most?
In terms of like here, or as in like what's it like to have roommates?
Yeah, because I'm not sure how does it work actually. Like, I know that all of you live together, but not live together at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. So in the house, there are there's 6 girls at the moment, including myself. When Sarah was here, obviously, Vermilion was here, 7. And then I know more girls are coming soon as well. But for the most part, so when I was at university, I lived in the worst uni house, and I hated having roommates. It was the worst. Everywhere was messy. Everybody was arguing. Nobody got along. We all stopped speaking pretty much by the end of the year. It was terrible. We was all really passive aggressive with each other. People are arguing whose turn it is to do this chore and whose turn it is to do that chore and who hasn't taken the bins out, and everything gets really catty, and it just was not a nice experience. Here is like so wildly different. Everywhere is kept tidy. Everywhere is kept clean. Everybody washes up after themselves. Everybody washes the table down after dinner. The toilets are clean, you know. Like everybody's got their own little chore to do in the house, you know. It's a really well-oiled machine, you know, and it's nice, and kind of nobody's in each other's way. We all have our own space, you know. I've got my own room, my own space. I try and keep that tidy, but I always say when it comes to my things, it's like entropy. Everything slowly moves towards chaos. So I try and keep on top of that, but I'm not always great at it. But it's actually like I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but I guess because the girls here are so disciplined that actually it's really no trouble. It's kind of nice, you know. You've always got someone. You walk into the kitchen, there's somebody there, you know. There's someone to have a chat to, and it makes you closer, I think.
That's awesome. And now, returning to what you mentioned before, we know that you have a relationship with Travis Bank, who is another professional wrestler. Now he's injured. He's coming back from that, right?
Yes.
So, but in general, he usually competes as you compete all over Mexico. So how is to balance, you know, the personal life and the professional life? Because of your schedules, you have to travel a lot and maybe not taking the same bookings.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of been a little bit of a weird one, in a sense of this time has, I think this time kind of away from each other has been quite good for us, in a sense of, in Mexico, we lived together. We lived together through COVID. We moved to Mexico together. I am quite dependent on him in Mexico because it's an environment where I can feel a little unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
And so being here, I think it's been good for us in terms of growing our relationship and building our own careers. At the same time, he then got injured the day that I left. And
that's bad timing.
It's such bad timing. I mean, I was taken off on a flight and he texted me and he said, I've injured my knee. I don't think I can wrestle. And then my plane took off and I couldn't respond. I lost data and it was the worst 6 hours of my life. So, but in terms of being in Mexico, it's like, I always said, in a sense, because of this, I guess, security that I had in him, I would always want us to take the same bookings, but it just doesn't work out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, I'm glad that I was able to take a lot of my own bookings, of my own shows, and travel by myself, because it did build up an independence and it did build up a confidence that I can get myself around Mexico fine. Mm-hmm. And in terms of like learning the language, I picked it up a lot faster than Trav did initially. Since I've been away, he's gotten a lot better. So I'm like, I need a... But that's the thing about being away that's proved to him that he doesn't need me in order to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like, because we're so... because we spend so much time together, we train together, you know, we wrestle train together, we live together, we do everything together. But when we're on different shows, I think it's actually really good for us, because Trav's got his career that he needs to focus on, I've got my career that I need to focus on, and when we come back together, it's really nice. And it's actually, now that I'm here in Japan, really trying to build my career, that I appreciate that as well. And you know, it's just, he's injured at the moment, but I know that there's big things coming for him. I can feel it in my bones, and I know that once he gets his knee sorted, it's going to be like everything that he's put himself through, every good and bad experience, it's going to work out for the best. Like you're going to see the fruit of the labor. So I'm just trying to think about answering the question directly, because I feel like I've gone off on all of these different tangents. But it's I love when we work shows together, because I feel like we share an experience, and especially if it's a cool show. And there's been a lot of cool shows that we've done together, and I've been so glad to have him there. And it's like, yes, we're experiencing this together. But then in terms of not working shows together and taking our own bookings, it's also being great for our own personal growth. And then we can come back together, and it's great because we live our lives together. So I think it's also a necessity. It was a necessity as well,
That's great. Now, getting back to wrestling, you've been competing against some of the best in the world while you were in Japan. And there are many possibilities for you now that you're breaking through your career. There will be more eyes on you. So is there any opponent from anywhere in the world? It doesn't matter if she or he is signed with any company, or if it's a freelance, that you would like to face?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people. And I always think to the people that I can learn from. And I feel like there's so many people that I can learn from here in Japan specifically. I've not had a match with Takumi yet. I've not even been in a tag match with her. So I really want to face Takumi before I leave, whether it be a tag match or a singles match. Like, I am itching to face her, because, she is the top of Marvelous. She's their champion. She's the most senior, girl here, who's contracted, who is a part of Marvelous. So I really want that opportunity to wrestle her in whatever capacity. I always say I really want to wrestle Tessa Blanchard, because she is a female who is, in terms of her skill level, is one of the best, and she has been for a long time. I know her personally. She's killing it in Mexico at the moment. I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to wrestle her. And then the other person that comes to mind, and I've wrestled her before twice, is Stephanie Vaca. And I love Stephanie, and she's fantastic. And I wrestled her when I first got to Mexico, and I would love to wrestle her again now. With all that I've grown, all the experience that I've gained, everything that I've learned, I know that I'm a different wrestler now, and I feel like I'd be well more equipped to have an even better match with her. She was the person that I wrestled that gave me confidence initially that I could do this. Like, I could have a good match, and I made the right decision in going to Mexico. So I was meant to wrestle her in June, and then for a show called Riot, and I was meant to wrestle her, and then for whatever reason they pulled all the Consejo people off of the Riot show, so she got replaced. But then I ended up coming to Japan anyway. But when I was going to wrestle her, I was so excited to have that match. I was like, I'm ready, I'm going to wrestle her. I'm so excited to wrestle her again. I feel so much better. I feel so much, better in myself, technically, physically, everything. I can't wait to have this match with her again. And then it didn't happen. And then obviously she got signed after that. And I'm so happy for her that she's got signed, because I don't really know if a lot of people understand the Mexican experience. And she's a girl from Chile who's gone to Mexico, who's gone through so much shit, so many trials, tribulations, and she's just worked hard. And she's trained, and she's trained in not just in pro wrestling, but in all of these different disciplines in order to become the best. And I have so much respect for her for that. Like, if anybody should look to somebody who they should model themselves off in terms of like putting in the work, it's her, hands down, for me. So I would love to wrestle her again.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Yes, but it's actually cool that you mentioned all that. I believe it's like destiny. Maybe that was not the right time for the third match. Now
Yeah.
Stephanie is
Yeah.
even bigger than when you had
Yeah.
your first matches. You
Yeah.
also have experienced the world now because you went to Japan, which I
Yeah.
also agree with Travis. You have to
Mhm.
experience Japan to know that,
Yeah.
to not only become better in wrestling, but to know if you have the it factor to be the
Yeah.
best in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe
100%.
we will see that in a bigger stage. I don't know.
Oh, I would love to. That's the dream. That's the dream.
Okay, and also let's hope for that either singles or tag match with Takumi before you leave.
Oh, yeah. That's like the next thing on my list of like what I need to do before I leave Japan. I need to have a match with Takumi.
Yes, and also and when you get back to Mexico,
Yeah.
hopefully you will have the chance to face Tessa. The thing is that she's also
Yeah.
signed with CMLL, so
We can tell. See.
there might be problems sometimes because always CMLL has priority on the bookings. So
Exactly, because that's what happened with the Riot show. There was, clash or problems or whatever, and they were just like, nope, we're taking all of these guys away. So I know it might be difficult, but maybe, who knows? Who knows?
okay, and now I wanted to ask if you have goals for next year.
It's funny because I literally listened on a video of a podcast the other day, and it was a guy I listen to a lot of his reels that come up from his podcast, and he said he doesn't. When people say, "Where do you see yourself next year or in 5 years' time?" he doesn't kind of limit himself to a list of specific goals, because you kind of you've just got this one thing in your mind in order to be successful. I need to achieve this goal or this goal or this goal. Nobody really knows what our path's going to look like next year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. I have things, of course, that I would like to do and places that I would like to go, but I don't want to pigeonhole myself into, in order for next year to be successful, I need to have done this, or I need to have done this. All that I want to do is wrestle as much as I can, become an even better version of myself in terms of personal, in terms of faith, in terms of wrestler. But I don't want to place any kind of unnecessary expectation on myself for you yet, and that's okay. When I originally wanted to come to Japan, I had to wait another year for that to happen. Within that year, I grew so much, and it made me realize that, everything happens in the right time. So in terms of, goals, I don't have specific goals. It's just I want to become that better version of myself, and I want to work as much as I can, have as many good matches as I can, push myself as much as I can, be working as hard as I can in the right ways. And, of course, I would want to work for certain promotions. I'd love to, work with, say, like AAA or Consejo in Mexico or somewhere like that. I would love that door to open. But whatever opportunity can come my way, I'm going to take, and I want to be ready for, So just as much as I can do. This earphone's falling out, hold on. I was scared that was going to cut off then. It was falling out of my ears, like, please don't be. As much as I can possibly do is what I want to do. That's my goal. Just keep on building my name in any way that I can do that.
Okay, that's actually fair. Finally, do you have any message for your fans?
Yes. Obviously, I have fans in Mexico, primarily. So I always say, whenever anybody says this in Spanish, it's like, okay, muchas gracias por todo tu apoyo. Or would you say apoyan? Sí, ustedes, ¿no? Su apoyan? Is that right?
Are you asking me?
No me sé eso. I'm asking you. I'm asking you. I'm asking you. Is ustedes, no?
Ok. Muchas gracias por todo su apoyo.
Todo su apoyo. Ok. Sí, porque a veces es una persona en un saludos
Ah,
video es, muchas gracias por todo su apoyo, bendiciones, all of these things. Um, my brain is like, I'm trying to like get it back into Spanish, like think, what would you say? Um, sí, muchas gracias por todo su apoyo. Eh, lo, aprecio mucho de mi corazón. Mi corazón es eh, lleno de amor y gratitud de la gente de México y la gente en Japón también. Es un placer y un honor para mí a representar Inglaterra y México en Japón.
perfecto.
Sí, está bien.
Ya, we understood. Se entendió.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
It's
Qué
been a
bueno.
pleasure to have you, Jessy. I hope you have a wonderful time these remaining days in Japan.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully,
Thank
some
you.
of that match happens. If not here, next
I
tour,
hope so.
because I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not the last time you will be in Japan. So that's also good to know.
Yeah. And I'm going to be staying here for a little bit longer. So I'm getting an extension on my visa. So I'm going to be here for another 2 months at least, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I just wasn't ready to leave, and it felt right to stay. So another 2 months here. So I'm hoping that match can happen within 2 months. We've got 2 months to make it happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
Ok, eso ha sido todo por hoy, amigos. Hasta la próxima.